All right, let's jump right into this deep dive. Today, we're taking a close look at Infraconstruction Ltd's Q2 results for fiscal year 25.
They've been around for a while.
Yeah, 6 decades in India, actually.
Wow.
Yeah, from ports to skyscrapers, these guys have done it all. And you know what? They're not slowing down. They're actually building a residential tower set to be over 1,000 feet tall.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, pretty impressive.
Yeah.
We're going to really dissect their performance today. We've got their unaudited financials, investor presentations, press releases, and even the auditor's report.
Sounds thorough.
We aim to be. We really want to understand what's making them tick, what's driving their performance, and where they might be headed.
Looking beyond the numbers.
Exactly. So let's start with a quick overview of their Q2 financials. Revenue from operations hit 230.3 crore with a profit after tax of 47.2 crore. Their EBITDA margin, that earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization, came in at 12%.
And how does that compare to the same quarter last year?
Well, both their revenue and sales volume show significant growth year over year. But there is something interesting. Their EBITDA margin actually dipped a bit compared to Q2 of last year.
Huh. Interesting. What do you think's behind that?
It looks like they've been laser focused on real estate sales and collections this quarter.
Ah, I see. So the delivery of projects like Atmosphere O2 and Aradhi Evoque has really fueled that, hasn't it?
Exactly. And remember that successful warrant issuance they had? They raised 543 crore.
Oh, right. What are they doing with all that capital?
A big chunk is going toward business expansion and acquiring new projects. And they've really built a name for themselves when it comes to operational efficiency.
I've heard they deliver projects ahead of schedule, right?
Consistently. Take Aradha One Earth, for example, finished a full 14 months early. And Aradha High Park delivered 21 months ahead of schedule.
That's impressive.
It is. And even their Atmosphere O2 development. All the towers received their occupancy certificates ahead of schedule. They're really on top of it.
So it's their in-house construction and that tight project management that give them that edge?
Seems like it. They're not just constructing buildings, they're building trust and reliability, which is huge in the real estate world. Now, what about their financial health?
Well, they've been very disciplined about reducing their debt.
Hmm.
As of September 2024, they actually have a net cash positive balance sheet.
And let's not forget that credit rating upgrade to Care A plus stable for their long-term facilities. That's a pretty big deal.
It is. It really shows they're committed to being financially prudent, keeping strong liquidity.
I'm ready to dig into their project pipeline, but before we do, you mentioned earlier that Infraconstruction manages a big part of their real estate portfolio through joint ventures and something called a development management model.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's an important point, especially when we're looking at their financials. So at the development management model, they don't recognize the full sales value as revenue. It's more about the fees they earn based on the percentage of sales for overseeing the project.
So it's not about the direct sale of the property itself.
Exactly. It's about the fees they generate from managing the development process.
Got it. And with joint ventures.
They only recognize their share of the profit. Again, the full sales value doesn't show up in their consolidated revenue.
Interesting. So their real estate operations are actually even larger than their reported revenue might suggest?
Exactly.
It's like seeing just the tip of the iceberg.
Precisely.
All right, so let's move on to their recent successes, starting with Atmosphere O2. 3 massive 47-story residential towers and 1 18-story commercial tower, all in Mulund West.
They launched that back in 2019, didn't they?
They did. And get this, they've achieved almost complete sales already. Collections are around 1,490 crore out of a total estimated revenue potential of 1,650 crore.
Wow, almost there.
And remember those occupancy certificates they secured ahead of schedule.
Right.
That really shows they can handle large-scale projects efficiently, all while creating a living experience people actually want.
Makes sense. So what about Aradhi Evoque? That luxury residential project in Juhu.
Oh, yeah, that one's interesting. It's a standalone tower completed in just 2.5 years, offering these really lavish 3 and 4 BHK residences with incredible views. Have they seen strong buyer interest, given the prime location and the luxury aspect?
They have. They've already sold close to 85% of the available carpet area, bringing in a revenue potential of about 250 crore.
So they've definitely tapped into that desire for upscale living in a prime Mumbai location.
Absolutely. Now, we should also look at their involvement in those large-scale redevelopment projects.
Like the one in Gorgon.
Yes, exactly. It's a massive undertaking. We're talking about a 10-acre plot with a carpet area of 17.5 lakhs square feet. And again, they're tackling this through a joint venture.
They seem to be doing a lot through joint ventures.
They are, and the estimated sales potential for this project is a whopping 4,000 crore. That's going to be a big contributor to their future revenue.
Wow, that's huge. Now, Aradia One Park, that's something completely different, right?
Yeah, it's a really unique concept. Instead of one big tower, they're creating a cluster of 10 societies within a gated community.
Like a mini neighborhood.
Exactly. It's in Ghatkapar East,
Mm.
over 12,000 square meters. It's really about fostering that sense of community through shared amenities and spaces.
Have they seen any interest in this concept?
Definitely.
Right.
They've already hit almost 50% of their estimated sales potential for the project.
So there's demand for that innovative community living approach. But they're also going big, aiming for the sky, literally, with Arasia Avan in Tardeo,
Right. That's said to be one of India's tallest residential towers.
over 1,000 feet.
It really shows their engineering skills and their ambition, pushing the limits of residential construction. What's the saleable area on that one?
Roughly 6.5 lakh square feet with a potential sales value estimated at 3,000 crore. This is going to be a flagship development for them.
Absolutely. And it's clear they're targeting the ultra-luxury market with this one.
Yeah.
And with other projects in their pipeline, redevelopments in places like Vile Parlor and BKC.
It's not just geographic expansion, it's strategic movement upmarket, aligning with that growing demand for luxury living in cities like Mumbai.
And let's not forget their global ambitions. They've already got a foothold in the U.S., specifically Florida, with both finished and upcoming residential projects.
Interesting. And how are they approaching the U.S. market?
Well, they're partnering up, working with local developers, and even some big names like Marriott International.
Smart move.
Yeah.
Leverage local expertise and tap into that existing brand recognition.
Exactly. But all of this, all this expansion, it takes serious capital. How are they managing their resources to fuel these ambitious plans?
Well, remember that successful warrant issuance we talked about earlier? The 543 crore they raised is being used for business expansion, new project acquisitions, and working capital.
Right. And that commitment to reducing debt has given them a net cash positive balance sheet. That recent credit rating upgrade to CARE A+ speaks volumes about their responsible financial management.
It seems they've got a really solid financial base to back up these ambitious growth plans. But what else is contributing to their success beyond just the numbers?
Well, their in-house construction capabilities are a big differentiator. Many developers rely heavily on external contractors.
But they do it all in-house.
Yeah, which gives them more control over timelines and quality, and ultimately profitability.
And they've earned that reputation for top-notch project management, consistently delivering ahead of schedule.
Being able to manage multiple projects at once, even large, complex ones, that's a real advantage.
They also seem to have a good grasp of the market and what customers are looking for.
You can see that in their focus on innovative concepts like Aradia One Park and that move into the ultra-luxury segment.
And their willingness to explore new markets, like the U.S., shows adaptability and a knack for spotting opportunities.
Definitely. It sounds like they've hit on a winning formula. But what about challenges? What potential headwinds do you see for Man Infraconstruction as they continue to grow and expand? One thing that comes to mind is effectively managing this rapid growth. As they take on more projects, especially in new markets, they'll need to make sure their systems and processes can scale up without sacrificing quality or efficiency.
Right, it's easy to get caught up in the excitement of expansion, but maintaining that operational excellence across a larger and more diverse portfolio will be key.
Absolutely. And of course, there are always the inherent risks of the real estate market. Economic conditions, government policies, global events, these can all have an impact.
It's true. Their strong financials and their debt management are positives, but unforeseen events can still shake things up.
You're right. And in the U.S., they'll face a whole new set of regulations and market dynamics. Navigating those complexities successfully will be crucial.
Competition's another factor, especially in India's luxury segment, which is getting more and more competitive.
They'll need to find ways to stand out, and not just on price. Unique offerings, exceptional customer experiences, those will be key.
And they can't forget about talent. As they grow, attracting and keeping skilled professionals in every department will be vital.
Building a strong and capable team, that's always important, but even more so during rapid expansion.
So opportunities abound, but challenges are on the horizon as well. It looks like Man Infraconstruction is approaching those challenges strategically, though, focusing on sustainable growth, responsible financial management, and strong partnerships.
Yeah, their willingness to adapt and innovate is encouraging, especially in a dynamic industry like real estate.
Man, Interconstruction is definitely a company to keep an eye on, not just for their projects, but for how they navigate the complexities of the real estate world. I feel like we've only just scratched the surface.
We have. There's always more to uncover. There
Yeah.
really is. It's like walking a tightrope, managing that growth, but staying flexible, ready to react when the market shifts.
Hmm.
But before we get too deep into those challenges, I want to go back to those recent successes, the ones we touched on earlier.
You mean Atmosphere O2 and Arada Evoke?
Exactly. Those projects really show us how infra construction approaches things. Take Atmosphere O2, for example.
Yeah.
It wasn't just about putting up those impressive towers. They really focused on creating a whole living experience. It's become a really sought-after community in Moreland West. It's gated. It's got all those lifestyle
But
amenities.
it's more than just building apartments, it's about curating lifestyle.
You got it. And that attention to detail, to the customer experience, that probably plays a big part in them achieving those near full sales for projects like Atmosphere O2.
Right, right. And then there's Arada Evoke, which is targeting a different buyer, that high-end luxury market, and they've sold almost 85% of the space there as well. What do you think is driving that success?
Well, the location's a huge draw. Obviously, Juhu is one of the most desirable areas in Mumbai. But they've also managed to balance luxury with efficiency. Completing a project that big in just 2.5 years is impressive, especially in a prime spot like Juhu. It shows they're operationally efficient, that they can actually deliver what they promise.
So speed and quality, those are part of their brand identity. But they're not just focused on luxury residences, right? They've got those big redevelopment projects going on too.
That's right. That Gorgon project is a perfect example. Partnering on something that big, remember it's a 10-acre site, over 17 lakh square feet of carpet area, it shows they're strategic about their growth, using partnerships to expand their reach, take on those massive projects.
And that project alone could bring in 4,000 crore in sales. It seems like those redevelopment projects are a big part of their growth strategy.
Absolutely. They're tapping into that growing demand for modern living spaces, well-planned spaces in those established areas. These redevelopment projects, they let them revitalize older neighborhoods, create value for themselves and their partners.
And it's not just about building bigger and fancier. They're trying different approaches to community living, like that Arabia One Park project we talked about.
That one's really interesting. It's a departure from that typical high-rise model, creating a cluster of 10 societies within a gated community. It's a novel idea, especially in a city as dense as Mumbai. It suggests they're really thinking about building community, creating a different kind of living experience.
And the fact that they've already hit almost 50% of their sales target for Arabia One Park, it shows there's a real interest in that innovative approach. They're also pushing the limits with those skyscrapers, trying to make Arate Arvan one of the tallest residential towers in India.
That project's a statement piece for them. It shows off their engineering skills, their ambition to be right at the forefront of architectural innovation. A tower that size, over 1,000 feet, it's bound to become a landmark in Mumbai.
And with a potential sales value of 3,000 crore, it's going to make a significant financial impact too. It's interesting how they balance these ambitious projects with a focus on financial prudence.
Right, they're not just chasing growth for the sake of it. They're strategic about where they invest, managing their debt well, maintaining that solid financial base. And that's reflected in their recent credit rating upgrade and that net cash positive balance sheet.
So they're ambitious, but financially disciplined too. But beyond the projects themselves, beyond their financials, what do you think contributes to Man Infraconstruction's success?
Well, their reputation's a big factor. They built a brand that stands for quality, timely delivery, transparency. That's invaluable in an industry where trust and reliability are everything.
And their track record of completing projects ahead of schedule really contributes to that.
It does. And it's not just about meeting deadlines. It's about surpassing expectations. When you consistently deliver, you build that confidence with buyers, investors, partners.
It seems they've also built strong partnerships, both in India and internationally. That collaboration with Marriott International on those U.S. projects is a good example.
Those strategic partnerships are vital for navigating new markets, tapping into that local expertise. And working with established names like Marriott, it gives them credibility, brand recognition in the U.S. market.
So they're building trust through what they do, but also through those smart alliances. It's a clever way to grow and expand.
It is. It shows they understand that success in real estate isn't just about bricks and mortar. It's about relationships, reputation, understanding how the market works.
Now, we've talked about their strengths, their successes, but every company faces challenges. What are some potential headwinds Man Infraconstruction might run into as they keep growing and expanding?
Well, managing the complexities of rapid growth is a big one. Scaling up their operations, keeping that same level of quality and efficiency across a much bigger portfolio, that'll be a test.
It's different excelling with a few projects than juggling dozens of them, especially in different markets with different rules and customer expectations.
Exactly. And the real estate market, it's cyclical by nature. Economic downturns, government policy changes, even global events can all impact demand and profitability. Man Infraconstruction needs to be ready to navigate those inevitable ups and downs.
Their strong financials give them some cushion, but those external factors are always a wild card.
You're right. And in the U.S., they're going to face a whole new set of challenges. Different regulations, different market nuances, competing against established players.
Yeah.
Adapting their strategies to that environment, that'll be key.
And they can't get complacent in India either. The competition's fierce, especially in that luxury segment where they're focusing more and more.
They'll need to find ways to stand out, not just on price. Unique offerings, exceptional customer experiences, those are what will make the difference.
And attracting and keeping the right people will be crucial too. The competition for talent, skilled professionals in construction, project management, sales, it's intense.
Building a strong team, a positive environment, those are essential. They need to create a culture that attracts and keeps the best, especially as they expand to new markets, take on more complex projects.
So managing growth, navigating market changes, adapting to new places, outmaneuvering competitors, and attracting top talent, those are some pretty big challenges.
They are. But Man Infraconstruction seems willing to embrace innovation, adapt to the changing market, build strong partnerships. Those qualities will serve them well as they tackle those challenges.
They seem to be approaching these challenges strategically with a clear understanding of the risks and the opportunities.
Exactly. And that's what sets them apart. They're not just building structures, they're building a legacy based on financial smarts, operational efficiency, and a commitment to exceeding what customers expect.
We've looked at their successes, their strategies, the challenges they're facing. What's the one thing you'd want our listener to take away from this?
I think the key takeaway is this. Man Infraconstruction is a company that's really hitting its stride. They're showing that it's possible to grow fast, but also maintain that commitment to quality, to financial responsibility, to customer satisfaction.
And they're not afraid to think outside the box, to try new things, building one of India's tallest towers, creating those innovative community living concepts.
They're a company worth watching, not just for their projects, but for their vision, their ability to adapt, their commitment to building a lasting legacy.
It's really impressive how they're balancing that big ambition with a really solid approach to business. But you brought up some challenges they might face, and I'd love to dig into those a bit more. Let's start with that rapid growth. How do they make sure that expanding so quickly doesn't mean they have to sacrifice quality or efficiency?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? A big part of it comes down to scaling their systems and processes. As they take on more projects, especially these large, complex ones, they need to make sure their project management, their quality control, even their communication can handle that increased workload, but without lowering their standards.
So it's like they need the right infrastructure, not just for the buildings they're constructing, but for all the internal stuff that makes those projects happen.
Exactly. Investing in technology, streamlining those workflows, giving their teams the power to make decisions quickly and effectively. And as they expand geographically, especially into a new market like the U.S., they'll need to adapt those systems and processes to fit the local regulations and industry standards.
It's like they're building a bridge while they're walking across it. They have to keep moving forward with those expansion plans, but at the same time, they have to make sure the foundation that supports everything is rock solid.
That's a great way to put it. And then there's the real estate market itself. It's unpredictable. Economic ups and downs, changes in government policies, even global events. Those can all create challenges that are tough to see coming.
Their strong financials and their debt management strategy definitely help, but those external factors can still hit demand and profitability. How can they minimize those risks?
Diversification is key. Spreading their investments across different types of projects, different locations, different market segments, it reduces their exposure to any one risk factor. Their move into the U.S., their focus on both luxury housing and those big redevelopment projects, those are good examples of that diversification in action.
Don't put all your eggs in one basket, right?
Exactly. And they need to stay agile, adaptable, Being able to adjust their strategies, react quickly when market conditions change, that's going to be critical for weathering those economic storms and grabbing new opportunities when they pop up.
It's like a constant balancing act, having that long-term vision, but being flexible enough to adapt to the unexpected.
Exactly. And in a competitive industry like real estate, you can't just stand still. Man, infrastructure needs to keep innovating, anticipating what customers will want, finding ways to set themselves apart from the competition. Those recent moves into innovative community living, like Arad One Park, and their push into the ultra-luxury segment with projects like Arad Avalon, those are good signs.
Those projects show they're willing to think differently, to push those boundaries of what's possible in real estate. But as they grow and take on those bigger, more ambitious projects, they need to make sure they have the right people, the expertise to carry out that vision.
Absolutely. Attracting and keeping those top-tier professionals, that's a major challenge, especially as competition for those skilled people gets tougher. They need to create an environment where people want to work, where they can be creative, collaborate, and grow professionally.
It's not just about offering a good salary and benefits, it's about building a company culture where people feel empowered, where their contributions are recognized, where they feel like they're part of the company's success.
I couldn't agree more. Building a strong team, a positive work environment, those are essential for attracting and keeping the best, especially as they expand into new markets and take on those increasingly complex projects.
So, wrapping up this deep dive into man infra construction, what's the key takeaway for our listeners?
I think the key takeaway is this. Man Infra Construction is a company that's on the move. They're ambitious, they're innovative, and they're financially smart. They're not just putting up buildings, they're building a legacy of excellence, sustainability, and customer satisfaction.
They're a company to watch not just for their impressive projects and their financial performance, but for how they're tackling the challenges and opportunities in an industry that's constantly changing. They're showing that it's possible to grow significantly while staying true to your values, to that commitment to building a better future.
Well said. And for our listeners, this deep dive has given you a framework for understanding not only Man Infra Construction's journey, but also the bigger picture of the real estate industry. It's a fascinating world, full of opportunities and challenges, and Man Infra Construction is definitely making its mark.
We've looked at their successes, their strategies, the challenges they face, their aspirations. We hope this deep dive has given you some valuable insights, some food for thought, as you continue to explore the world of real estate and business.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.